Think about the person you know who never quite fits in. The one who overthinks everything, enjoys being alone, notices tiny details, and constantly asks questions that nobody else asks. Maybe that person is you. At first, these habits seem strange. But the real explanation is far stranger. Modern psychology and neuroscience suggest that some of the people who feel the most different are actually seeing the world in ways that most people never do. And by the end of this video, you might realize that being normal was never the goal in the first place. Because for thousands of years, human societies have depended on unusual minds. The people who questioned traditions, spotted hidden patterns, and imagined possibilities that everyone else ignored. Today, psychologists call these traits curiosity, introspection, and sensitivity. But your ancestors may have simply called them survival. So what are these habits? And why do they make you feel so different? Let's find out. Habit 1. You enjoy being alone more than most people. You cancel plans and feel relieved instead of guilty. You sit alone with your thoughts and actually enjoy it. Most people assume solitude means loneliness, but psychologists have discovered that they are completely different things. Research by Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung suggested that some people naturally direct their energy inward. Modern studies have shown that solitude can improve creativity, memory, and problem-solving. Thousands of years ago, every tribe needed people who could step away from the crowd and notice things others missed. What if your need for solitude isn't antisocial at all? What if it's how your brain recharges? Habit 2. You constantly question everything someone tells you a fact. You immediately ask why. Someone explains a rule. You want to know who created it. Psychologists call this intellectual curiosity, the desire to understand how the world actually works. Studies show that curiosity activates the brain's reward system, releasing dopamine, the same chemical involved in motivation and pleasure. The people who crossed oceans, discovered fire, and built civilizations all shared one thing in common. They refused to stop asking questions. Habit 3. You notice things that other people ignore. You notice when someone's tone changes. You remember tiny details from conversations months ago. You sense tension in a room before anyone says a word. In the 1990s, psychologist Elaine Aron discovered that around 20% of people process information more deeply than others. Your brain isn't necessarily smarter. It's simply collecting more data. For ancient humans, this ability could mean the difference between life and death. A distant sound, a strange footprint, a subtle shift in another person's behavior. Your ancestors survived because somebody noticed. Habit 4. Your mind never stops running even when you're lying in bed. Your thoughts keep moving. You replay old conversations. You imagine future scenarios. You analyze everything. Neuroscientists call this the default mode network, a system in your brain that becomes active when you're thinking about yourself, the past, or the future. Research from Harvard found that people spend nearly half of their waking lives thinking about something other than the present moment. For some people, that mental activity is even stronger. It can create anxiety, but it can also create innovation. Habit 5. You often feel like an outsider. You can be surrounded by people and still feel different. It's a strange feeling, like you're observing the world instead of participating in it. Anthropologists believe that human groups have always contained people who stood slightly outside social norms. These people often became storytellers, inventors, healers, and explorers. Every society needs people who preserve traditions. But every society also needs people who challenge them. Could your feeling of not fitting in actually have a purpose? Habit 6. You daydream constantly. Your body is in one place. Your mind is somewhere else. Psychologist Jerome Singer spent decades studying daydreaming and discovered that imaginative people often score higher in creativity and problem-solving. Every invention began as imagination. Every city existed in someone's mind before it existed in reality. The ability to mentally leave the present moment isn't a bug in the human brain. It's one of its greatest features. Habit 7. Small talk exhausts you. You can talk about the weather, but you'd rather talk about life, death, dreams, and the universe. You crave depth. Psychologist Viktor Frankl believed that humans are driven by a search for meaning. Some people find meaning in routines. Others spend their entire lives searching for answers to bigger questions. If shallow conversations drain you, perhaps your brain is searching for something deeper. Habit 8. You change your mind when evidence changes. Many people think intelligence means always being right. Science suggests the opposite. Researchers call it cognitive flexibility, the ability to adapt your beliefs when new evidence appears. The smartest people in history changed their minds constantly. They weren't attached to being right. They were attached to finding the truth. Habit 9. You feel emotions deeply. A song stays in your head for days. A memory suddenly brings tears to your eyes. You feel other people's pain as if it's your own. Neuroscientists believe empathy helped human beings survive. Without empathy, early humans could not have protected children, cared for the sick, or built communities. Feeling deeply isn't weakness. It may be one of humanity's oldest strengths. Habit 10. You constantly reinvent yourself every few years. Your interests change. Your beliefs evolve. You become a slightly different person. Psychologist Dan McAdams describes identity as a story that is constantly being rewritten. Most people fear change, but unusual minds often embrace it because they understand something important. You are not a finished product. You are a work in progress. Maybe you've recognized yourself in some of these habits. Maybe you've spent your entire life wondering why you never felt completely normal. But the truth is that human history was shaped by people who thought differently. The explorers were different. The inventors were different. The artists were different. The people who changed the world were rarely normal. So the next time you feel like you don't fit in, remember this. The habits that make you feel different today may be the same habits that pushed humanity forward for thousands of years. And perhaps being normal was never the goal in the first place. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to subscribe. More mysteries of human behavior are waiting to be explored.